Marshall Pruett, Robin Miller. We're in Portland, back at Portland International Raceway, and the most impressive thing about today was all the people that showed up, not just in numbers, but all the people that showed up either had an IndyCar driver shirt on, an old Portland race shirt on. They read RACER. They knew who every driver was. It didn't matter who walked by.
We've been yelled at by many people, accosted.
Yeah, we've been screamed at. But you can always tell it's like going to Mid-Ohio or going to Road America. It's like real IndyCar fans, and I think the drivers were kind of pretty impressed because they didn't expect that many people at all.
We show up to a lot of places, and on Friday, it's kind of like they forgot to tell folks that a motor racing event was happening. And the best part about being here, whether it's the paddock out in the corners, the grandstands, on a Friday when people have work to do, that's what has been most impressive. Really strong turnout. We've been gone for 11 years. You never know what kind of response you're going to get. It's a lot like when we went back to Road America a couple of years ago. Thankfully, this is looking good.
Right. Well, and I think Kevin Savory and Kareem Green understand that if you're going to come back somewhere, you've been gone for 11 years, don't just assume everybody's going to show up. And you got to give this a 2 or 3 or 4 years. And I remember, because I'm old, that when this thing was the G.I. Joe's 200 or it was the Rose Festival, this place was packed. And there's a lot of race fans from Vancouver and Seattle and the Pacific West Coast. And I think this is going to be a winner, and I think they just got to stick with it for 3 or 4 years. If they can get a title sponsor they had this crowd today without a title sponsor, which is pretty impressive.
Pacific Northwest, too.
Yep.
So we're standing in front of Team Penske's transporter for a reason. Why? Will Power went quick like a bunny to close the day. It was a bit of a bizarre P2, P3. If we're talking expectations, Marco Andretti second. Who was third?
The guy you did a podcast with that people want to know about, or they either love him or hate him and they don't even know him yet. Santino Ferrucci.
I was down in turn 1 during this last session. He was among the first to go out on Firestone Reds. Teams doing a little bit of a qualifying simulation. That lap was no joke. He was absolutely on the limit, under braking, turning in, crashing across the curb to the left, all the way out. Perfection. It was a thing of beauty. Now, can he do that lap after lap after lap? Well, that's why they have the race on Sunday.
That's right.
At least in practice. I didn't expect the kid to be that good. I don't think his teammate Sebastian Bourdais expected him to be in front of him as well.
Right. Bourdais was quick this morning, and of course he's going to be heard from, you know that. The thing that's interesting about this place is they changed 5, 6, and 7. We were talking to some of the guys about what,
Some haven't been too happy about it.
No, but Hunter Ray, Seb, Will, there's 5 or 6 guys that have raced here before in its former configuration, and there have been some exciting finishes at Portland. And I don't know if opening up 5, 6, and 7 is going to make the racing better, but as good as the racing's been this year on road courses and street circuits, I expect it to be pretty damn decent.
And if you start adding up the amount of spins and offs in turn 1, the little complex there, especially turn 11, 12, and whatnot, we're going to have we should have plenty of action during the race, not just passing, but restarts, cars packing up. It should be a lively one. Speaking of lively things, though, you're writing about some things. There's some Spanish guy I've heard who might be testing a race car, and you have heard all kinds of lies today. Share a little bit here.
If I ever write a racing book, it's going to be called The Best Liars I Know, because most of them are car owners and drivers and mechanics, but sometimes they're good guys too. So we've been talking about Fernando Alonso testing at Barber Motorsports Park on September 5th for the last 3 or 4 weeks. Now, Michael Andretti keeps saying, well, there's no confirmation we're going to do that yet. So today, Zach Brown told the Formula One press, yeah, we're going to be there. So I went and found Michael and said, so looks like it's going to happen. Well, I'm not really sure yet.
I don't know.
Nah, we got a lot of dates in mind.
Is there someone else named
know.
Michael Andretti who might be able to tell us whether someone's going to be in your car? But it sounds like it's going to happen.
It sounds like it's going to happen because plane tickets have been bought. Crew guys are probably going to show up on time. And the main thing is, it's a great story. Fernando Alonso's testing a car. Is he going to be here full-time next year? We sure hope so. Is he going to be at the Indy 500? Damn straight he's going to be at Indy. But we want him to run the whole season because as good as the crowd's been today, if Fernando Alonso shows up at all these road courses and street circuits next year, it's going to be like, maybe not quite like Mansell-Mania, but it'll be pretty damn close.
Speaking of, not Mansell-Mania, but damn close, our friend Chip Ganassi walked by, and what did he yell? Yeah, keep talking about Rosenquist.
Yeah, Rosenquist. Yeah, that's a great rumor. Yeah, we just made that up. There's nothing to it.
He gave me the best quote when I asked him about it of, I have no idea what you're talking about. I love Chip.
Here's the thing. I get that you want to have a press conference, and there's not a whole bunch of people in the whole world that care about who does what in IndyCar. There's a small percentage, and our fan base is probably 700,000, I think, across the country. But when you talk to these guys every week and they still lie to your face, you want to go, really? How is that possible? Lee Diffie never lies. Come here. Get over here. Get over here. Get over here. Get over here, Diffie.
Speaking of,
get over here. Now listen, we thought we were pretty
Stand up,
impressed
Diffie.
with the. I know you're just a kid, and you haven't been here since the '80s like I have, but that's a hell of a nice crowd today.
That was a great crowd. I mean, I haven't been here. I first came here in '02 with Kart, and then came back in subsequent years with the American Le Mans Series. And
Kart liked you so much they told you to go do sports cars.
Go do sports cars. But I just remember coming back. I remember the enthusiasm from all those years ago. And last year, Townsend Bell and I were up in this region in the Pacific Northwest doing Red Bull GRC.
Yep.
And it was at Evergreen Speedway outside of Seattle. And the crowd that turned up there, I think, was a leader to this, to say, you know, the Pacific Northwest, in all due respect to the categories that race up here, they're race starved for big series. And so to see this Friday crowd is no surprise, and it's just really heartwarming for the series. It's awesome.
I agree. And I think even the drivers took notice. They were like, damn, we're more people here today than we had a couple races last year.
Well, Paul Tracy's hard to please, and Paul is really excited about today's crowd. So there you go. If you need nothing else, all right, you two get back to work.
All right, thanks, Diff. Paul Tracy's excited. That's all you need to know.
About something other than his black label bagger motorcycles
and if he makes a production meeting tomorrow for NBC, it'll be the first time all year he'll be on time.
All right, what's one other thing we should share before we shut up?
Your story today about how many cars might be in the series next year. As many as, I mean, you people are. I was worried a couple years ago we might be down to 18
Careful
cars.
With the you people. We're coming off the Derek Daly comments and whatnot. Come on, Miller.
You people.
Okay.
I was worried a couple years ago we might be down to 18 cars by 2020. Now, Marshall wrote a story today about we may not have enough pit stalls next year at some of these racetracks. There could be 25, 26, 27.
Yeah, and that is it's a concern, but it's the best kind of concern.
Absolutely.
Because IndyCar has gone to every track and said this is how many pit stalls we can fit on pit lane, which kind of governs how many entries you can take. They're going back and trying to measure, could we take a few feet off of each and how many more could we squeeze in? Because at some places where they only have space for 22, 23, 24, they're realizing they could need 25 to 27 next year. Not necessarily full-time. I think full-time we might be looking at 24, 25.
Be great.
But if you add in some of the part-timers and whatnot, this could get to be amazing. At least for you and I remembering the days of kart where...
28,
Lord,
buddy. There were 28 cars every... There was 3 years in a row in kart where there were 28 cars at every race, which maybe even 30 a couple times, because I remember somebody getting bumped at Nazareth. I think it might have been...
pre-qualifying, bumping.
Yeah, bumping.
This is crazy.
So we don't want to send anybody home, but watch this podcast with...
Watch the podcast again, Miller. Really?
Listen to the podcast, watch the
Write
pictures,
the podcast,
read the stories.
Listen to the video.
I flunked out of Ball State. It ain't my fault. Thanks for reading, Racer, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
We're sorry.
See? No cuss words. No one was offended.
Now, should I have been recording?